All board members are supposed to be sitting in the horseshoe. If you're not, I'm going to come out and drag you back in. All right?
I see somebody over there you got to drag.
Yeah, well, Steve,
Sheila, come sit with me.
come sit with us, please. Thank you.
And where's, who else would this sit down?
Go ahead, open it.
Open it, open it, open it.
I'll open them up.
You could open it.
Open it. Yeah, open, good.
Just work over there.
Oh, it's Valentine's good.
Come on.
Mr. Curie, how are you, sir? Steve, watch out, you bite.
Thank you.
Bites, thank you.
If you don't want it, I don't bite. She bites.
Okay. Look at this. I got a ring. I got my household fired up
Oh,
now.
they're mini donuts. Yeah, here, pass those around.
Go ahead, take one.
No.
Why not? You want to try it? I don't do donuts. I go
Not, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Laura, how much the bench?
So before we get started, I'm sure all of you know that as of March 1st, you will not have plastic bags to go shopping with. So we have some Community Board 5 fabric bags here if you need one. And I stress that point. One to go shopping with. You're welcome to see Laura. She'll make sure you have a bag. It's interesting to note that the only plastic bags available in the community after March 1st will be in the Chinese restaurants.
And the takeout. Takeout, dine-in.
I'm sorry, Tony? If you're registered as a restaurant, okay. So restaurants, that's a shame because I know some Stompers spent a lot of money on takeout boxes.
Well, that's a different law.
That's a restaurant.
No, that's the styrofoam law.
Yeah, but it's still takeout too. Thank you.
That's your friend. Now it's metal. They do what you can come here. That's yours.
Okay. What do I do with that?
When I go shopping stuff, I don't forget that.
Okay, so if everybody's got their bags and everybody can find a seat, and then we'll ask you to stand up. And the flag is to my right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So just a reminder, with the bags and the census, if you want a $28 an hour job, the census is hot recruiting census takers. If you have an organization that could help with census information, I have a couple of forms up here. Anybody could come up and sign in. All right. Catch up on my paperwork. The first item of business is the public forum. Do we have a sign-in, please? While we're doing that, I'll remind everyone that even though we're meeting tonight, today is the official birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the traditional celebration. We have something for the members.
For the public hearing,
Okay. Okay. So Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, ended slavery in this country, and he was a Republican.
The first Republican.
That's right. So
They broke the mold.
we'll get back to public forum. So again, no foul language, no personal attacks, no more than 3 minutes. This first speaker under the public forum is Chris Kozlowski. Please, the microphone is in the middle of the floor. Are you here, Chris Kozlowski? No? Okay. Second speaker, the next speaker is Crystal Wolf. Crystal, are you here? Okay, no more than 3 minutes. Thank you.
There was somebody before me, or they weren't here? Okay. Is it ready? Okay. First and foremost, thank you so much for allowing me to speak and share this mission. My name is Crystal Wolf, and I'm the founder and president of a nonprofit called Catering for the Homeless, whose main mission is to rescue food excess from catering companies, schools, restaurants, and grocery stores for the homeless and poor. We've retrieved about 40,000 meals for the food insecure so far of good food that would have otherwise gone to waste. We've also provided approximately 3,000 food pantry items, 5,000 socks, 15,000 clothing items, and 30,000 toiletries. With the comprehensive book on homelessness I've written, Our Invisible Neighbors, I speak on a weekly basis at public meetings and author talks to advocate for the homeless and educate thousands of people in the community on common misconceptions of homelessness which keep us divided. I am continuing to work to alleviate the community's concerns so that we can work together to help our less fortunate neighbors. Catering for the Homeless has provided services and education for almost 100,000 people throughout Queens and New York City in the past 3 years. This year, I project that Catering for the Homeless will serve 100 to 200,000 people. In September of 2017, Senator Joseph Addabbo passed a food law that all schools from the pre-K to the university level must donate their food excess to organizations like mine who can distribute it to those in need. I've been working to get the schools to give their food excess since this law was passed. I invite the community to sign my petition to the DOE requesting them to comply with this law and allow schools to give their food excess instead of throwing it away. With 133 billion pounds of food going to waste each year, my goal is to feed millions of people every year and end hunger by utilizing what we have been wasting for those who have not. I'm the author of several books in different genres, and my latest, Labor of Love, will be released on February 14th in The Origin of Time, the second book in the Creation series. A portion of all book proceeds goes toward this mission to end hunger. In addition, I'm the president of the Friends of the Maspeth Library, and please find us on social medias under Maspeth Library Friends to keep up to date with the free events we are offering to the community. Lastly, I was just voted in this month as the co-president for a beautiful nonprofit organization called Together We Can. We are working on compiling a directory of nonprofits in Queens for constituents who are looking for services. We want to be the one-stop shop for citizens looking for youth groups, homeless services, and more. We also want to help nonprofits expand their network so that we can all grow together. My nonprofit has 100 partners in its network so far. We cannot do this work alone, but I believe that together we will end hunger and all the problems of our day if we are dedicated to being a part of the solution, and each and every one of us can make a difference. Thank you again for your time and for allowing me to speak and share this message. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Crystal. The next speaker is Carmen Santana.
I think this works. Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is an open letter to community board members, elected officials, et al. In the mid to end of 1990s, I, along with other community members, advocated for Greater Ridgeway Youth Council in support of funding for after-school programs, then called Beacon programs, where GRYC went on to receive public dollars for junior high school 93 to create a Beacon program. Eventually, other after-school programs were extended to other schools in Ridgewood. Funding was made by elected officials to GRYC. In 2001, several parents approached me with serious concerns and questions about GRYC requesting payments for what they believed to be public programs paid for public funding. I then, in 2001, brought the parents' concerns to all elected officials and Bob Monahan, director of GRYC. That was almost 20 years ago. In December 2019 CB5 board meeting, I provided a copy of the New York State Comptroller's Annapolis audit regarding their findings of DYCD and GRYC. New York State Comptroller Annapolis findings were very disturbing and scathing. The New York State Comptroller's report of 2019 mirrored concerns back to 2001 and throughout the years. The fact is that it is apparent that for 20 years nothing has been done to date to stop these concerns and practices, and then some, at GRYC by the elected officials. After sharing copies of New York State Comptroller Annapolis' June 2019 audit at the December 2019 CB5 monthly board meeting, I have been slandered as well as my family. I have been informed that board members as well as others were ordered by elected officials and others not to associate themselves with me because I was a troublemaker and more, and continue to be. Worse yet, Mr. Monahan has emailed elected officials slandering and defaming my son, then stating that I was retaliating for the wrongful termination of my son when employed at GRYC in 2017, which, by the way, no final timesheet was provided at that time in 2017 either by GRYC to my son. Know that Mr. Monahan and others have used the slandering of my family and me as a distraction. Let me say it again. It's a distraction to take the focus away from the 2019 audit by New York State Comptroller Annapolis office, which, by the way, I did not write. Therefore, please consider this open letter. I am requesting respectfully you cease and desist. You know who you are. Stop it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Tony Di Piazza.
Good evening to all, and thank you again for considering our annual street festival. Just for the benefit maybe of the new ones, I'll just give you a quick history of the festival. We started about 25 years ago. First 3-4 years, I must admit, there was somewhat contentious on the board, but after that, for the next 15 or so years, used to be voted unanimously. The street festival never created any problems in the community. There were never any crime issues, and nothing, really nothing negative about it. For the following 3, 4, 5 years, because of the construction on Fresh Pond and Metropolitan, the festival was cut back. Last year, because the construction had finished, we were able to again obtain the full 4 days, 5 blocks, which we always got. The festival has been important because thanks to your support, we were able to reopen the Federazione office, which provides assistance to the seniors. And we'd like to continue to do that. But it's not only that. The festival, I believe, is very important to the community because of all these the store closings that have been going on. It's a way to promote our community. It's a way to bring the whole community together, but also show the people outside the community that come to the festival what Fresh Pond Road has to offer. And certainly in that way, not only help the community, help the Federation, but I help the store owners. Because last year was highly successful, again with no incidents, we got a letter from the 104th Precinct, which was sent to the Community Assistance Office, supporting the festival, again stating that there were 0 incidents in the last year's festival. So I beg you again to please approve it, and let's continue a 25-year-old tradition and bring the whole community together and not break it apart like some people would like it to happen. Thank you all.
The next speaker is Joe Reyna, same subject.
He's not here.
Not here? Okay, that's out. Next speaker, Vincent Armando.
Good evening, everyone. Name is Armando, for the record. First of all, for the people that don't know me, I'm a parishioner of Our Lady of Miraculous Medal and also St. Margaret. Some of the board members know me. I also volunteer up at Juniper Park. As it relates to the festival and what it means to the people in the community, it's a gathering place. It's for multicultures, and there's something there for everyone. Either it be music for the young, some stands, some food for others, and even some rides for family. That's what the fair is about. It's about bringing the community together. Just recently, I was with the Monsignor, Our Lady Miraculous Medal, and we have a church gathering there, and we also do an international food night. And one of the things he said to me, and I quote, is, bringing people together through activities and festivities only makes a community stronger. So with the utmost respect, I'd like you to consider a tradition of 25 years to continue. Ridgewood is a fantastic neighborhood that I grew up in. I would love to see this to continue. I've been bringing my kids to this feast for all these years, except for the couple of years it wasn't on. I hope to bring my grandkids here, but I also know people from other communities, either be Maspeth and Glendale, attend this feast, and they also help the businesses along. So I don't want to take up too much time, but thank you so much, and please consider what a great festival that is for the whole community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Peggy O'Kane, and we'll try to give you the same attention you gave the last speaker.
Thank you.
I heard every word he said.
I hope so.
My name is Peggy O'Kane, and I live off of Fresh Pond between Woodbine and Menahan. Every year, we who live east of Fresh Pond are immured for 4 days because we can't go off to the east. The railroad is in the way. The people who come to the festival, there's no uproars at the festival, but they feel free to use Traffic Avenue as their vomitorium and pissoir and garbage bin, and to park in all our driveways. No other part of this community is expected to accept 4-day disruption of the main thoroughfare of the community. Now we're talking about the bus routes, and it's so important that the bus lanes be observed. Now for 4 days they will be blocked. Anyone who wants to make a delivery is going to be parking in the traffic lanes, and Fresh Pond Road is going to be a madhouse again. Please, don't inflict this on us again. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is John Meyer. Whatever.
No assumptions.
Hello, folks. Good evening. I'm speaking as a member of the Board of Cures, Civics United for Railroad Environmental Solutions. As you know, a couple months ago, one of our fellow board members here, Brian Dooley, came to you with an issue. We are still advocating for that. In New York State Legislature, there is there's an assembly bill that we need to get passed, and to put solid covers on rail cars that carry demolition debris through our neighborhoods all the way across the state into Ohio, so that they don't emit waste and blow off and odors. The bill passed in the Senate last session. It did not get out of the Assembly Committee. This year, Assemblyman Brian Barnwell has submitted it again, reintroduced it, and is working with some of our fellow Assembly members, Kathy Nolan and Mike Miller, who are co-sponsors, to get it moving. But we need to get the chair of the committee to act on it and get it out to the floor where we believe it'll pass. Joe Adabo has reintroduced it in the Senate. It has passed the committee, so it's about to go to the floor to probably get passed there. So we'd like to ask that anybody that didn't fill out a postcard at the last meeting If they would be willing to fill one out, we will mail it for you. You can just give it back to me, and we will drop it in an envelope and get them up to Albany ASAP. So please see me if you want a card, and I will collect them also throughout the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next speaker is Rich Huber.
Good evening, everybody. Richie Huber, member of this great board. Hey, how's that bail reform thing working out for everyone? Under New York's justice reform, prosecutors have to hand over all evidence to criminals in 15 days or it gets dismissed, including names, addresses, and contact info of victims and witnesses. How many cases are going to get thrown out? How's that going to work out for you? Me personally, if asked by the police, I didn't see nothing. Okay? We rapidly will approach the homicide clearance rate of 12% like they got in Chicago. A Senate majority spokesman said the reality is these reforms will save taxpayers lots of money. $6 billion deficit. Wow, but I digress. Jonathan Maldonado is dead. He died because a multiple repeat felony offender was cut loose. There's already many stories of recidivists' horrible actions after immediate release. Senator Adabo said it was in the budget. We had to vote for it. Our electeds claim it's the process. They have to pass the budget or our government shuts down. Oh my, but they own it. In my humble opinion, it's a great bit of plausible deniability. Almost sounds like a Nuremberg defense. We were just following orders. Our electeds are following the orders of the party and the governor. As I recall, they should be accountable to us, their constituents, we the people, but not in a one-party system. Welcome to New York, and we wonder why we're probably going to lose a congressional district or two. The government holds them hostage with the annual budget. This sounds like a quid pro quo, which is actually French for quid pro quo. Back in June of last year, a group of state senators headed by Gorham and Martinez, both Democrats, backed a new bill giving judges some discretion to fix some of this mess. Around that time, de Blasio went to Albany and begged for our electeds to fix it, bail reform, but it fell upon deaf ears. Can you believe it? I'm agreeing with de Blasio. They could have fixed it. That was back in June. Now they say, oh, we have to fix it. Tell that to the grieving families and victims. Tell our elected officials here. They all voted for it. These are the people you supported, voted for, extol their virtues on social media, worked and petitioned for them, told friends and neighbors to go vote. What did you get in return? The jails emptied into our neighborhoods. Remember to thank them on Election Day. Our electeds don't represent us. They represent the governor and the homeless shelter industrial complex. I can't believe it. Murders are up, along with many other crimes. Can you believe that? This is all part of a master plan releasing recidivists without bail, emptying our jails, thereby supplying the homeless halfway houses that are in reality jail annexes, just like we're going to have here in Glendale. This is a sure recipe to return to the Dinkins days when we had 2,000 murders a year. Will Rogers said, I'm not telling jokes, I'm just observing government and reporting facts. Thank you all, have a good night, and all please stay safe.
Thank you. With that, we'll, if Chris Kozlowski's not here, we'll close the public forum, and the board members will note that I really screwed up because we were supposed to do the public hearing first. So we'll now do the public hearing on the fiscal year 2021 preliminary budget. The first speaker is Ted Renz.
Good evening, distinguished members of Community Board 5. This is the testimony in support of a new capital project for Myrtle Avenue in Ridgewood between White Cove Avenue and Fresh Pond Road and immediate adjacent side streets. Basically the area that's wholly within the Business Improvement District. Dear members of the Community Board 5, on behalf of the Myrtle Avenue Business Improvement District, we thank you for your support for a new capital improvement project for Myrtle Avenue in Ridgewood, which was Community Board 5's number 5 priority for FY20. The last time Myrtle Avenue in Ridgewood between Wyckoff and Palmetto and Fresh Pond Road was included in a major capital project was 1983-1984. At that time, the project was under the New York City's Commercial Revitalization Program and included major improvements to the shopping corridor, new concrete sidewalks with brick pavers, curbside steel-faced curbing, new trees, creation of 3 pedestrian plazas. Over the years, other improvements included historic M poles on Myrtle Avenue, as well as other streets, World's Fair benches along various curbside locations and in plaza areas, historic marker signs on the M poles, and new planting areas and other improvements. Over the years, many of these improvements, particularly the brick pavers embedded in the sidewalk, have seriously deteriorated, causing tripping hazards and unsafe conditions for pedestrians. This has also resulted in a number of lawsuits, in many cases naming the bid, which has resulted in higher insurance premiums per the bid, as well as property owners. While there are a number of very important projects for this board to support, we kindly ask for your continued support for this important improvement project. Myrtle Avenue in Ridgewood is a major commercial corridor serving the greater Ridgewood community and Bushwick and other surrounding communities, over 345 retail and service establishments. The improvements we're asking for may include, but not limited to, new sidewalks without the brick pavers, new curbs, M poles on the side streets, the removal of the Belgian blocks from the over 300 tree pits, additional benches, other amenities. Since our last project only included a repaved street bed, it might be wise to consider new sewer lines and water mains, because the existing water mains that are there now were probably put in there in the beginning of the century. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Mike Porcelli.
Hi, I'm Mike Porcelli. Been a member here for over 25 years, so I guess everybody knows me by now. I've been a mechanic since I'm 5 years old. Most of you know that. Our family business is here in this community 71 years. I now teach automotive technology at CUNY, at Bronx Community College, which is the only automotive program offered by CUNY. I'm here tonight to inform everybody that we're running out of mechanics rapidly. And when we run out of mechanics, everything's going to stop working. You'll have no cars, no trains, no buses, no way to get around, and no lights, no air conditioning. The city school system has now finally woken up and decided that career and technical education, which we used to call vocational education, is an important thing, and it should be promoted. February is Career and Technical Education Month around the country. How many people here knew that February was Career and Technical Education Month?
Just me.
A handful. Okay. We only need a few fingers to count the people that knew it. That is the problem, people. Nobody here knew that this was the month that we're supposed to promote career and technical education. Well, I'm here to remind you of what the DOE has failed to let you know. Okay? You all should be receiving by email several articles that I sent over to the board office today promoting especially automotive education as really a very good career for young people to get into. They can get high-paying jobs. Most of my friends that own shops are paying people $1,000 to $3,000 a week to fix cars. And it's a career that somebody can get into with just 1 or 2 years of training. Of course, they have to do lifelong learning to stay up with modern technology. I tell my students I've been fixing cars for 65 years, and I'm still going to school because I'm a very slow learner. It's either that or there's so much new material to learn, I'll never catch up. So just keep in mind, anybody in your family, any friends, relatives, young people that need to decide what kind of career they want to have, look into the technical trades.
Thank you. That closes the public forum on the budget. Mr. Kozlowski did show up. We'll go back to the public forum. No more than 3 minutes, please. Thank you. I went out of order. My fault. You would have been on time.
I don't know, been all over the place today.
I'm a little dyslexic today. Okay. Which way they opened? Okay. So we'll hold them up here. You go speak. Okay. You can speak. Here. Stay here a second. Go ahead. Why are you here?
Okay. Good evening. My name is Chris Kozlowski. I'm an architect. And the subject of my presentation is a presentation to the public hearing for the Landmarks and Preservation Commission of New York City. Basically, the owner of the property started work on a stoop without the landmarks permit. However, he had a permit for the steps going down, but not for the main stoop. So the stoop was deteriorated, so he decided to start work, and then he got a violation. So it will be a subject to a public hearing. It's a very simple thing. We are not changing number of steps. It's just a matter of redoing the surface of the steps, and the handrail will be exactly like it was originally. So it will be basically the copy of the original handrailing, made of cast iron. The public hearing, that the Landmarks Preservation Commission decided, the staff decided that this is subject for the public hearing because we are changing the finish of the steps, of the stoop steps. Everything, the work started already. It was done very carefully, and I think the effects are visible. Also, the sides of the stoop will be very similar to original ones. So this will be also reproduced exactly the same pattern on both sides of the stoop. Basically, that's it. It's a simple thing. Thank you very much.
Any questions or comments? Yes. Pass the mic down, please.
I can't see very well from here, and if you don't mind, I would like to get closer so I can comment on that first picture.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Stay there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Is this the original steps?
The original. They were slightly deteriorated.
Is this what it is now?
Okay.
Yes.
So isn't that front piece a little dangerous?
That's how it was.
Okay.
That's originally. We are not adding anything, just covering.
I would think that this
Comment,
piece is
comment.
dangerous.
We're
That's,
doing-
excuse me, I'm just making a comment. I can't see
That's
from here.
committee work, though, so I was just going to say,
Everything I say is committee work, but that's a dangerous piece, especially on the Americans with Disability
I was
Act.
just going to say that we'll turn this over to the Land Use Services Committee for review. We usually don't get too much involved in the landmark area, but for everyone that doesn't know, a large portion of Ridgewood, it was called a landmark, received landmark designation. And most of the stoops are brownstones, and many of the alterations have been changing them by adding granite, stainless steel. So we'll turn it over to Land Use, see if they have any comments.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a comment. The issue of, I'm on the Landmark Committee, and the issue of the Landmark Committee
commenting on this. It was decided, I believe last year, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that we don't have input, and it's the land...
We'll turn it over to the committee.
And the committee made that decision, and it was discussed that we would not be voting on.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
The gentleman did just clarify that
Yes.
all of the stoop is inside the property line and inside the fence.
Understand.
Right now, what it looks like is it's outside, but it's,
No.
when it's finished,
Correct.
it will not be. So
All
I
right.
don't think it would be an obstruction like your
Thank you. Okay. With that, we'll get back to business. So we were to have a presentation by Wyckoff, but in lieu of that, we'll talk about the concerns of the coronavirus. Okay? The coronavirus really isn't a big concern in our area. As of February 11th, in New York State and New York City, there were no positive cases. The ones that were checked were 17 negative results in New York State and 5 in New York City. There are still 2 pending in New York State and 1 in New York City. The real concern is the basic influenza. So if you're showing any symptoms, you should be aware and concerned, because influenza killed a lot of people many years ago. So if you have the flu-like symptoms, you should seek medical care right away. Call ahead and tell the doctor or the hospital that you're going to if you traveled out of the country or on a cruise or went to China. Avoid contact with others if you feel that ill. Stay home except for seeking medical care. Avoid further travel until the illness resolves. Cover your mouth and nose with a tissue or your sleeve. When you're coughing or sneezing, don't use your hand because you're just spreading the flu. Wash your hands often with soap and water. It's the best solution to prevent illness and spreading, is wash your hands at all times. And I think someone said you sing happy birthday 3 times. Is that what it is? Yes. Okay. Yes. So we really have no strong fears here in our area, but we're keeping an eye on things. So if you have signs of flu, take care of it, because you could be compromised otherwise. Thank you. So the next order of business is the Chairperson's Report, and that's me, Vincent R. Curie. Let me find my notes. So we met on February 10th to review the applications for the street festivals. And the committee reviewed, and there were 5 festivals or street fairs. And the first one we discussed was Fresh Pond Road between Woodbine Street and Menahan. And the proposed dates, there's something different on this form that I have than what we reviewed the other night.
This is the updated.
Slightly different, it's just updated a little bit.
Oh, it's different than what we reviewed.
This is the current. It's not what the applicants put forward to the city, it's what they've told us they're going to operate as, supposedly. There was an email sent out earlier today.
Okay, so this is the current modified. So we reviewed what they filed with the city, but since then they updated. So it's Thursday, September 3rd, 6:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Friday, September 4, 6:30 to 10:30. Saturday, September 5, 6:30 to 10:30. And Sunday, September 6th, 6:30 to 10:30. So I just want to address the executive committee. Do we need to discuss? No, okay. So the committee reviewed it and recommends not approving the Fresh Pond Road Street Festival as presented. On the question. Kathy? Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't make that meeting, unfortunately. In order to comment on this, I'd need to know, and I understand that there were 5 presentations, 4 accepted and only this one rejected.
Correct.
And the basis of the rejection?
John, anybody? John.
The length of all the others are one-day festivals.
Understood.
There was also no votes were concerned that not all of the paperwork that the board has asked for has been submitted to the board, as the other events have done, with full expense reports, full accounting for the money. We're just very much given brief numbers, but not any official documents. Those were yes, it is true.
Please. It is our meeting. No one speaks until we ask you to.
And there was a number of votes against it because it is a very big impact on a street that is tied up for more than the 4-day festival. And as it stands, the application to the city, even though we are seeing these, the application to the city is what was on ours, and it had 5 days listed.
Okay. So do you think that it would make a difference to the committee if it was 4 days like it shows here?
I don't think we're supposed to be doing that kind of work here.
Okay. All right. I'm just concerned.
We just reported the committees.
Okay. That was the committees. Now, I listened to the public forum comments, and I understand that there was concerns about traffic. That was the only negative thing I heard during the public forum, was the disruption and the issue on traffic. Is that correct?
That's my objection.
That's your objection. Would it help the situation if we worked with the sanitation department and make sure that they gave special attention to traffic during those 4 days?
No, now you're doing.
No, she's not saying traffic.
No. Now you're redoing committee work. The committee reported out. The committee recommends no.
But they
Okay.
based that on a 5-day, and this is a 4-day.
No.
It does. John,
it.
please, John. The committee reported out, and that's our recommendation. The board could take a position for, against, whatever the committee reported. We're not going to redo committee work at this meeting.
But you're saying that it wasn't.
We're not going to do committee work at this meeting. We reported. Okay? You have a comment?
Can this go back to committee and be voted next month?
Table.
You want a tabling motion?
Can it be?
You could table anyone could table. Hold on, slow down. Do you understand it? You could table it anytime you want, so.
Excuse me.
No.
Is there a time?
It doesn't matter. If there's a tabling motion, there's a tabling
No, I mean,
motion.
is there a time limit when we have to approve it to make it work for?
That's my question. Is there a time limit? Does it?
I thought we
Would it
had
do
to
any
get
good
the
to
approval.
table it?
I thought we had to get the approval in, not a time specific.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But we have a it's September. We have a tabling motion.
I'll second it.
Seconded, okay?
There's discussion.
Laura?
There's more discussion.
I want to make a comment, if you don't mind.
Okay, further discussion past the, this is on the tabling motion.
I'm not I'm just making a comment. I'm not. I agree with tabling it.
We're
I just,
discussing...
you asked for comments, and now you're trying to stop me from...
We're discussing the tabling motion.
No,
The tabling
you
motion
have
takes
ignored me
precedent.
when I asked, when I
The
put my hand up.
tabling motion
The
takes
fact is
precedent.
that this has been a controversial issue since it began. It's all over the newspapers. All you got to do is go to the Ridgewood
I don't-
Library, and you'll find it. In my
I don't make
opinion,
decisions on newspapers.
Regardless, there has been one letter given, for 25 years, there's been no incidents occurring in that. This is the only festival that every year gets denied.
Please,
Every
please.
single year.
Please.
If I believe correctly, they've even been to court on this. Please.
Okay. So on the tabling motion, any further discussion? Richie, on the tabling motion.
Hello? Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are tabling the committee's recommendation. Is that correct? Just the committee's recommendation, and other motions regarding this event can be brought up by board members?
What? I don't think so. Once this item is tabled, it's for further discussion, and it comes back at the next meeting. At that point, would be discussed further.
Okay, I just wanted to understand the motion exactly. Thank you very much.
Any else on the tabling?
Is it just on this one street fair?
That's all we're talking about. Please pay attention to me. I am not in a good mood tonight, okay? So it's a Fresh Pond Road Festival, and we have a tabling motion, okay? Anything else on it? Laura, would you call the roll? I'm sorry, hold on, yes.
Just to be clear, we're voting on this to be tabled to go back to committee.
Correct, that's correct. Or for further discussion.
Back to the drawing board.
Would you give Laura the microphone, someone? Start from the bottom, if you would, Laura, so people aren't influenced by my attitude today.
Okay, Nan Zhang. Mariana Zero. Crystal Wolf.
Are you here?
Yes. If you say yes, you're motioning to table. Correct.
And would you sit at the table, please? Okay, so what is your question, Crystal?
No, I just wanted to make sure I understood that vote for was
To table.
It's a tabling motion. Either you're for tabling or against it.
For. Michaeline Von Drathen. Patrick Trincasi. Barbara Toscano. Gainel Thapa. Megan Taddeo isn't here. Kathy Sumsky isn't here. Dennis Steffen isn't here.
Against.
Oh, Dennis is against. Connie Santos isn't here. Carmen Santana. Walter's not here. Lee Rottenberg. Luis Rodriguez. Kelvin Rodriguez isn't here. Ted Renz. Ken Regberger. Yes. Michael Porcelli. Don Passantino.
Against.
Michael O'Kane. Margaret O'Kane. Eileen Maloney. Kathy Massey. Edgar's not here. Patricia's not here. John Meyer.
Against.
Okay. Mike Leando's not here. Ed Latau. Mary Ann Latanio's not here. Paul's not here. Richie Huber.
Against.
Fred Hofferly. Fred Holler. Steve Fiedler. Dimitro Fitkowski. Jerry Drake. Brian Dooley. Patricia Crowley. Walter Clayton.
Sit down.
And Tony Benanti. And Vincent Arcuri.
Against.
Okay.
You want to give us a count?
All right.
Wait, don't you? Okay. All right, so the motion was tabled. The next item is the, what order did I do it in? I'm sorry. Glendale Kiwanis Myrtle Avenue Festival in Ridgewood, July 19th, Fresh Pond Road to Forest Avenue. The committee recommends 4. Any question or comment?
Myrtle Avenue to Wyckoff to Fresh Pond?
Fresh Pond and Forest Avenue. No, the Kiwanis of Glendale. Okay. You ready for that one, Laura? I think it's number 3 on yours, because I'm confused with these lists. They're 2 different ones.
Okay, so number 3 is the Myrtle Avenue Festival in Ridgewood, and we are voting
That's
for...
Glendale. Look at the sponsor, Glendale Kiwanis.
Okay, so
Okay.
we are...
Committee recommends 4. Any questions or comments? Okay, would you call that roll then?
Okay, Vincent Arcuri,
4.
Tony Benanti, Walter Clayton, Patty Crowley, Brian Dooley, Jerry Drake, Dimitro Fikowski, Steve Fiedler, Fred Holler.
I'm a member of the board, I'll go no vote.
Okay. Fred Hofferly.
4.
Rich Huber.
Member of Kiwanis voting yes.
Ed Latau.
4.
John Meyer.
4.
Kathy Massey.
4.
Eileen Maloney.
4.
Margaret O'Kane.
4.
Michael O'Kane.
Against.
Don Passantino.
4.
Mike Pacelli.
4.
Ken Reberger.
4.
Ted Renz.
4.
Calvin Rodriguez. Oh, not here. Louis Rodriguez.
4.
Lee Rottenberg.
4.
Carmen Santana.
4.
Dennis Steffen.
4.
Guy Nalthapa. Barbara Toscano, not here. Patrick Chinkasey.
4.
Michaeline Von Drathen.
4.
Crystal Wolf.
4.
Mariana Zero.
Member of the Master Chamber and Kiwanis 4.
And Nan Zhang.
4.
Okay, so it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
Okay, 29-4, 1 against, and 1 not voting. Okay.
Audio?
No, 1 against was...
Ted.
That was
Ted, we don't question votes, Ted. We don't question votes. Okay, so that's passed, is that correct? Yes. Okay. The next item is the Maspeth Chamber of Commerce Alliance Kiwanis Grand Avenue Festival, Sunday, June 28th, 65th Street to 72nd Street. The committee recommends 4. Any questions or comments on the matter? If not, we'll call the roll again.
Okay. Nan Zhang.
4.
Mariana Zero.
4. And member of Master Chamber. Kiwanis.
Crystal Wolf.
4.
Michaeline Von Drathen.
4.
Patrick Chinkasey.
4.
Barbara Toscano. Guy Nalthapa.
4.
Dennis Steffen.
4.
Carmen Santana.
4.
Lee Rottenberg.
4.
Louis Rodriguez.
4.
Ted Renz.
4.
Ken Reberger.
4.
Mike Pacelli.
4.
Don Passantino.
4.
Michael O'Kane.
Against.
Margaret O'Kane.
4.
Eileen Maloney.
4.
Kathy Massey.
4.
Edgar Mantell. John Meyer.
4.
Ed Latau.
4.
Richie Huber.
Member of Kiwanis 4.
Fred Hofferly.
4.
Fred Holler.
4.
Pat Grayson.
Not here.
Oh. Steve Fiedler. Dimitro Fitkowski. Jerry Drake. Brian Dooley. Patricia Crowley. Walter Clayton. Tony Benanti. Vincent Arcuri.
4.
Okay, so that's
Easy count? Okay. Next item is the Myrtle Avenue Ridgewood Festival, Sunday, April 19th, Ridgewood Local Development Corporation. The committee is in favor of. Any question or comment? It runs, yeah. They closed down Myrtle Avenue from Wyckoff to Fresh Pond, but they don't use the 2 blocks between Fresh Pond, west of Fresh Pond. That's a staging area. Okay? All right. Call that roll, please.
Okay, Vinnie Arcuri.
Not voting, because I am on the LDC.
Okay, Tony Benanti. Bob Chimelli. Walter Clayton. Patty Crowley. Brian Dooley. Jerry Drake. Dimitro Fitkowski. Steve Fiedler. Fred Haller. Fred Hofferly. Rich Huber. Ed Latau. John Meyer. Kathy Massey. Eileen Maloney. Margaret O'Kane. Michael O'Kane. Don Passantino. Mike Percelli. Ken Reberger. Ted Renz.
Not voting.
Calvin.
That's his salary comes from that.
So, I shouldn't have voted either. I didn't realize it.
Oh.
So a non-voting for
Tony Benanti.
Tony.
Okay. Louis Rodriguez. Lee Rottenberg. Carmen Santana. Dennis Steffen. Guy Thapa. Patrick Trincasi. Michaeline Von Drathen. Crystal Wolf. Mariana Zero. And Nan Zhang. Okay, so that's pretty, 1, 2, 3. 26-4.
Okay, that passes.
1 against, and 3 not voting.
The next item is the Myrtle Avenue bid, Myrtle Avenue Festival, September 13th, Wyckoff Avenue, Fresh Pond Road, sponsored by the Myrtle Avenue Business Improvement District. On the discussion, Kathy?
It's exactly the same route as the Myrtle Avenue Ridgewood Festival.
Correct.
It's the same group, basically?
No, it's 2 different corporations. Business Improvement District is different than the Local Development Corporation.
Same board of directors?
It's a mixture, not just a definite no, right? There's a mixture. There are some duplicates. Yes, correct.
Okay, all right.
All right. Any further on the question? Roll call.
Okay, Nan Zhang. Mariana Zero. Crystal Wolf. Michaeline Von Drathen. Patrick Trincasi. Guy Thapa. Dennis Steffen. Carmen Santana. Lee Rottenberg. Louis Rodriguez. Ted Renz.
Not voting.
Okay.
Again, part of his salary comes out of that.
Ken Reberger. Mike Pacelli. Don Passantino. Michael O'Kane. Margaret O'Kane. Eileen Maloney. Kathy Massey. John Meyer. Ed Latau. Rich Huber. Fred Hofferly. Fred Haller. Pat Grace. Steve Fiedler. Dimitro Fitkowski. Jerry Drake. Brian Dooley. Patty Crowley. Walter Clayton. And Tony Benante.
Same reason.
No, not voting.
Not voting.
Sorry.
That's all right. Vinnie Arcuri.
Not voting.
Okay. So it looks like 9, 10, 11,
Okay, since I've totally confused everybody with the order of business, I'll keep going with the confusion.
Can I
So-
make a motion to accept the minutes?
Minutes. What do we have with the minutes? Yes?
I make a motion to accept.
Kathy, seconded. Walter, all in favor? Hold on. Question. I'm sorry. I tell you I'm confused.
I have a question on the minutes under new and old business. It says I asked how many locations of graffiti. That's not exactly what I asked. What I asked was how many, in a sense, were re-graffitied after they were painted over, which I prefaced my remarks last month by saying that probably there is no figure for that. They just keep re-graffitiing and they keep painting them over and they don't.
You mean repeat locations?
Yes.
We don't keep a record
Yes.
of repeats. We keep a record of how many we've cleaned.
Right. I'd like the minutes to reflect that idea. Okay? Yes.
And I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Okay. Thank you. Makes me so happy.
All in favor?
I'm so happy.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Thank you. Keep going with the confusion. Liquor, wine, and beer license applications, new liquor licenses. 867 Holiday Cafe, doing business as Holiday, 867 Cypress Avenue. Okay. Liquor license renewals. One New Farm Deli, Inc., doing business as Las Margaritas Bar and Restaurant, 6712 Fresh Pond Road. Zum Stammtisch, Inc., 6946 Myrtle Avenue. Woodward 652 LLC, doing business as Aunt Ginny's, 652 Woodward. 290 Wyckoff LLC, doing business as The Bonus Room, 991 Wyckoff. 582 Seneca Avenue LLC, The Seneca, 582 Seneca Avenue. New wine and beer licenses. Wild in Kathmandu, Inc., 750, I missed Palace of Zulu, Inc., 913 Wyckoff Avenue. Wild in Kathmandu, Inc., 758 Seneca. No wine and or beer license renewals. Rahani's Pub, doing business as Walsh's, 6867 Fresh Pond Road, will be submitting a class change application to the Liquor Authority, changing from a tavern wine license to an OP license, which includes liquor, wine, and beer, and cider. We are 138 LLC, doing business at Sweet Jane's, 640-268 Avenue. We'll be submitting a method of operation change application. To the authority, they're looking for 4 a.m., 7 days a week. We advise the Liquor Authority that we're against that. Okay. Building demolition and construction notices in Glendale, 8097 and 8105 Cypress Avenue. None in Maspeth. Middle Village, we have 825561 Drive to convert an existing semi-detached 3-story, 2-family dwelling with medical office to a 3-family dwelling with 1 enclosed parking space and 2 open parking spaces. Nothing in Ridgewood.
Question.
Yes.
8097 Cypress Avenue, how can they have a stop work order, correct?
I have no idea.
They do.
Okay.
So how are they on our demolition list then?
They could still apply for permits.
They can?
Yeah.
right, but
And that's probably why they were stopped, because they didn't have a permit.
Okay.
That's what I would surmise.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, now to further confuse you again, we'll go on to recognize some people that are here tonight. And Laura's doing triple work, and Kathy is doing double work. And that's our staff for today.
You're confused.
I'm confused, and Gary is home wounded, so we're not in good shape tonight. Joe Nasarino from the Borough President's Office. Joe, please. Pass that to Kathy.
Oh, wow.
Does that mean I'm done? What do you got? You cheering?
Yeah, well, we didn't want us to get on your bad side. We sensed the mood, so, right? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello, folks. Couple of quick messages. You have all information in front of you. Queens Week of Service. The Borough Hall is collecting items for veterans: toothpaste, body lotion, body wash, hoodies, sweatpants. You can drop them off at Borough Hall or at your community board office, and it ends February 17th. Community board applications deadline has been extended to March 13th. A couple of Department of Finance events: notice of property value sessions, receive one-on-one assistance regarding your property taxes, and that's February 27th in Borough Hall, 5 p.m. Then we have a homeowners and tenants enrollment event for homeowners, Star, E-Star, veterans help. For tenants, we have SCREE and other opportunities to hear about it, and that's on February 27th, but that's in the morning at Borough Hall, 10 a.m. And then Black History Month event, February 26th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Borough Hall, and we will feed you, and I thank you, sir, for your time.
And you forgot this one?
No, I just said Black History. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot this one. Black History Month, February 26th.
Thank you. And police officers Berish and Sanad from the 104th.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see everyone. Just run down some of the stats for the past 28-day period. Robberies, we were up by 14. Felony assaults up by 11. Burglaries up by 13. Grand larcenies were up by 5, and grand larceny of the auto were up by 3. These are just the numbers for the past 28 days. Burglaries are taking place mainly in Ridgewood, later in the evening, anywhere past like 7, 8 p.m. at night into the early morning hours. Robberies are taking place in Ridgewood and Maspeth. Again, the same kind of hours, later in the evening into the early hours of the morning. Make sure your doors are locked. If your windows locked, lock them. Don't leave any ladders or anything that could help someone gain entry to a second level. And grand larcenies, again, we talk about this all the time. Lock your car doors. Don't leave any valuable property inside your vehicles. I know we've been saying this for the past over a year now. People still walk into the precinct and say, someone got into my car. Was it locked? No, it wasn't. What did they take? My iPad. These are things that could all be prevented. Keep your doors locked. Do not leave any valuables in your cars. Again, all things that could be prevented. The telephone scams still going around. It seems like the word is getting out there, though, so thank you, folks. You've been telling your neighbors and friends. Continue that, and that's one of the ways to battle them right now.
Also, keep in mind with the tax season, a lot of that will be happening. Remember, it's all via mail, no phones. If they're trying to contact you, they will write letters, not emails, not come in person. Also, try, if you don't have any, place cameras out. It's always good to have cameras. Now they're all pretty good. So just pick something out and have it there to help assist with whatever it is that might be needed. Also, the census are going to be starting for the year. They're going to start by actually mailing like a code to give you the option to either call and do it over the phone, answer the questions, or go online with that code and end up answering those questions. If they don't get anything back or reply or any answers, after a certain amount of time, they'll end up sending you the regular questionnaire out in the mail. If they still don't get anything back, they will then come and to the house. They will not ask to come in. So if anybody comes up to your house and decides to say, hey, you know, can we come in while we ask you a few questions? Don't let them in. They will not be asking to come in. Each one of them is going to have an iPad, and the back of that iPad or tablet, there's going to be a certain logo that you'll be able to see. They're going to have an ID with a certain specific lanyard. So just, you know, if you see something that seems fishy or whatever the case is, feel free to call. Better safe than sorry, and just don't let no one in. And to avoid anybody coming in, period, try to answer it over the phone or email or the questionnaire. If you know you answered it, you know nobody's coming at your door. So have a good night, everyone.
Good night, questions? Kathy?
The mobile unit, the precinct, how is it determined that it makes its way around town?
So it goes according to crime.
Okay.
So it moves from time to time, obviously.
Has it moved
to crime.
since it's been on 80th Street it was supposed to move out of 80th Street, and there was a request because there were some push-ins, as you were aware, in Glendale. So we asked if it could be moved over, and when we were told they had a serious problem in Ridgewood, we kind of understood, but has it been moved to Ridgewood yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
No. Like I said, the crimes are happening scattered around the precinct right now. When it does move, it has to stay in that area for a certain period of time, number-wise.
6 weeks.
And then it just moves according to that.
Okay.
So I'll see when the next time our officers are going to move it.
Okay. We have Officer Perez from Patrol Borough Queens North. Okay. Microphone, please.
I think I have a loud voice. All right. I'm Officer Perez. I'm from Patrol Borough Queens North. I am the 104 Precinct Liaison, so sometimes you may see me come to certain meetings, not all. And if you guys have any questions, you can just get my information after this.
Any other questions? Pass the mic, please.
This is not a question, it's just to make people aware that HPD, people are coming up to the doors after 4 o'clock claiming they're HPD subcontractors, and they're not. It happened to me, and it's happened to other people in Ridgewood as well. If they have, what's happening is that they go on the website, they see that there are violations, and they're trying to use that. They don't have ID, and no, they're not being sent out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. 4 o'clock, that's when HPD closes their doors. So just to make people aware, they're claiming to be HPD subcontractors, and they're not. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay.
Good night.
Thank you. Representing Congresswoman Ming is Christian Romero.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, CB5. I'll be brief. The Congresswoman put through some bills this year already. I don't, in an interest of time, I won't read them all, but I'll read one that I think is very interesting and important. It is the Locality-Based Social Security Benefits Act. This would make it so that the Social Security benefits for retirement, survivors, and disability would adjust the monthly amount based on where they live. In other words, beneficiaries in New York, higher cost of living, higher amount of benefits. So I think this is great. That's it for me tonight. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you. I'm sorry? Pass the microphone, please. Christian, a question.
I just want to know, I keep hearing that President Trump is looking to make cuts regarding Medicare and Social Security, disability, and stuff like that. Can you update us as to what's going on with that?
Yeah, they are trying to make cuts, you're right on that. We're going to stay on top of it. With this administration, it's hard to keep track of so many different changes that are happening. I'm not saying good or bad, I'm not political here, but I will keep you updated as soon as I find out more information on that. Yep.
Thank you. Representing Councilmember Reynoso, Fatima, which do you prefer? The Egyptian or the Christian?
The Egyptian, actually.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Fatima from Councilmember Reynoso's office. Just a few quick announcements. We're having a Black History Month celebration on February 28th. It'll be at 6 p.m. at Woodhull Hospital. I have some flyers if you'd like, and everyone is welcome. So if you want to come to that, please do. Another announcement, the plastic bag ban goes into effect on March 1st. I'm sure you've all heard about it, but we'll be having some free bag giveaway events throughout the district and one in Ridgewood soon, so stay on the lookout for that. And lastly, participatory budgeting is going into full swing. We do have some Ridgewood projects on the ballot this year. There's one for like a down payment / phase 1 Grover Cleveland upgrade on the ballot, and a project for PS 81. Vote week is going to be the last week of March, so stay on the lookout for that too. And that's it.
Thank you. Representing Senator Dabo is Sarah Spellman.
Hi, everyone. First off, I want to say happy St. Valentine's Day to everyone. That's coming up on Friday. We'll get some love back into this room for the rest of the meeting, hopefully. I brought paper this time, Vinny, too, so I'm not reading off my phone. See, I'm picking up on things. I'll make this really quick otherwise. My boss is hosting mobile office hours at the Maspeth Library on April 2nd from 5:30 to 7 p.m. It's kind of hard to catch time with my boss while he's up in Albany, so things like this after 5 o'clock is nice for members of the community to go talk to him directly when he's here in the district. To Richie's point earlier, my boss let me know just a couple minutes before that the state Senate is working currently on bail reform. I don't know if that's repetitive or not, but they are working to further reform this budget problem that we encountered last year. But, we had to pass the budget in order to make sure that our senior centers and our schools and our veterans make sure that they got the funding from the state. So it's time now to fix that problem, and we're working on it. So just wanted to pass that along. And just so everyone can mark their calendars, we are having our spring recycling event with Assemblyman Mike Miller's office on April 26th, Sunday, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Forest Park Van Shell parking lot. Questions, comments, concerns? No.
It's called correcting errors.
I'll make a note of that. No? Okay.
Thank you. Representing Assemblymember Hevesy is Kevin Wisniewski.
Good evening, everyone. Kevin Wisniewski with Assemblyman Hevesy's office. Just in case you did not receive a copy in the mail, I have brought some extra copies of our winter newsletter that came out last month, which just describes some of the laws we had passed last year, as well as what we are building on going into this year. And just to summarize two quick things, that includes a new law that requires that certain workers be trained to identify and assist child trauma survivors. As well as a bill that helps survivors of domestic violence leave dangerous circumstances without having to incur undue financial burdens. So there's more in here. Aside from that, just want to wish everybody a good night, and as always, if you have questions or concerns, you know where to find us. Thanks.
Thank you. Representing Assemblymember Barnwell is Leslie Areb.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Leslie from Brian Barnwell's office. A few quick things I wanted to announce. We're having a DOF workshop similar to the Queensborough President's office. If you have any questions about your NOPD, you want to apply for exemptions, a lot of people don't know that they can save a lot of money on these things, and so if you know anyone, please tell them to come apply. We've helped a lot of people save thousands of dollars, so we want to keep having people take advantage of the things that they qualify for under the city and state. As I announced last time, I just want to remind everybody we're doing PB&J making for the needy. We've been lucky to do this for years now in Woodside, and now we're going to start doing it in Maspeth. So every second Tuesday of the month at 6 o'clock at Martin Luther School here in Maspeth, we'll be doing that. So if you know anybody that needs to fulfill service hours, please send them our way. Or if you want to donate PB&J, that'd be great too. And lastly, Brian is working on scheduling a Maspeth MTA meeting. I know there's one on the 9th of March, which Councilman Holden's office has been helping with as well. We're trying to get ones all across our district in Woodside and Maspeth, but the MTA has been a bit booked up, is what they tell us, so we'll keep trying, and I don't know why they scheduled the meeting in PS 49 for tonight, but we'll keep trying, but please tell everyone to call our office, call your other elected officials, submit comments online, go to these meetings. It's very, very important that people show up and make their voices heard on this, because the communities that shout the loudest are the ones that they're going to listen to, so please tell everyone. That's about it. Feel free to come up to me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Representing Assemblywoman Nolan is Allison Cummings.
Good evening, everyone. Just a quick announcement. First, on the bus network redesign, please, I know everyone's been trying to get a lot of workshopping done and get the MTA to go absolutely everywhere we can get them. But once you've done the workshopping, send the comments over so that we have them too, so that everyone knows how you felt about it and we have the record. You know, I will take them. The Assemblywoman wants them. So if you think of something afterward too, please just send it on to the office. Otherwise, we have mobile district office hours scheduled for the Ridgewood Library on Thursday, March 19th. That's from noon to 2 p.m. If you'd like a flyer, I can send it over to you, and I'm going to leave some with the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Representing Assemblymember Miller is Christine Stoll.
Hi, good evening. I'm Christine Stoll, representing Assemblyman Mike Miller. On behalf of the member, he just wants to say thank you to everyone who donated to his 11th annual Valentine's for Veterans collection. The proceeds went to St. Albans Veterans Nursing Home. And then the second announcement, Assemblyman Miller's annual Woman of Distinction event is on Monday, March 9th at 7 p.m. at the Richmond Hill Block Association. And from CB5, Janine Mahone from the Greater Ridgewood Youth Council is being honored, as well as Assemblywoman Kathy Nolan. Thank you.
Thank you. Mario Matos is here from Maspeth High School. Mario, anything for us?
You guys missed Chicago the musical last week. It's a great performance. We have other stuff coming up.
Okay.
We'll send it to Gary.
Thank you. What do you have for him?
Boys team.
How's the boys team doing?
Are they getting their recognition?
Which one?
Kathy wants to know how the boys team is.
The boys basketball team is headed to the playoffs. The seeding hasn't happened yet, so we're not sure when that first game is going to happen.
Are they in PA?
Table tennis went to playoffs. They left in the first round. Girls basketball varsity was also in the playoffs. They just got knocked out by John Jay.
So they've been reinstated in PAL?
No. Oh, you're talking about the boys. We've been trying to get a boys
That's what we want to hear about.
varsity baseball.
Right.
We're going to put a request in again because they've been.
We're going to put that request in again for JV baseball because it's been denied every single year that we've applied, actually since we've opened. So at some point, we brought it up at the one of the education subcommittees. We're looking for support from the subcommittee and the entire community board.
City Council,
We reached out to every single elected official in Queens.
So tell their parents who not to vote for then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to recognize the press corps that's here tonight, David Russell from the Queens Chronicle and Benjamin Fong from the Queens Ledger. Thank you for letting people know what we do. Janet Gomez from Queens College, what are you here for? Anything special?
Thank you.
No? Okay. Then with that, we'll close the chairperson's report. Our district manager, Mr. Giordano, is not here. He's watching at home and writing, doing all his work at home. The latest that we could tell you about the homeless shelter in Glendale is that we've written several analyses to the borough commissioner at buildings. The last we saw was a, I'm trying to think of the word it is. A letter to revoke the permit. We also advised them that all the permits should be removed because under local law 160, they failed to file a letter of certification on all the fines they've received. I pointed out to the commissioner that there's total confusion as to what is approved, what is being built, and what is permitted at that location, because while the plan examiner signed off on a residence facility with dormitories, the review for the certificate of occupancy noted that they are not a residence facility. It should be a transient hotel. So that stirred up everything that we sent them, and no one wishes to speak to us in the city of New York on this subject. Okay?
And we filed a notice of appeal.
And the Coalition for the Homeless has filed their second appeal, is that right?
No, we filed a
First appeal.
notice of appeal.
Here, tell them.
Of course, the one Article 78 was denied, obviously not even read by the judge because the decision makes no sense at all. It doesn't even address the issues we brought up, so we have filed a notice of appeal on that. And the second group going before BSA, the letter to revoke is based on the objections that have been filed. And we're expecting in another 20 days to be in front of the Board of Standard of Appeal. And there has been an audit on the property and an audit requested on the property next door where that artistic stitch is. So we're hoping that these things start to fall in place, and maybe there's a possibility that we can delay these projects, at least get them legal, because they're not. And that's all I can tell you at this point.
Question.
Without a contract signed, I don't understand why they were having a job fair trying to hire people for a job that doesn't even exist.
Well, anybody can do anything they want in this country, you know that. Okay, anything else? If not, we'll go to committee reports. Park Services, where are you?
Can I sit down?
Yes, please.
Excellent, beautiful. Hello, everybody. So the Parks Committee met on Tuesday, February 4th, to put down a recommendation from Parks Committee on the Ridgewood Reservoir for the contract on a $2.3 million removal of invasive species in Basin 1 and 3. In advocating for the Ridgewood Reservoir to stay natural for about, say, 20 30 years, this board is very concerned about heavy equipment being used in Basin 1 and 3 to remove the invasive species. Heavy equipment, such as bobcats, have a very high decimal count, disturbing just about everything: birds, geese, ducks, turtles, and so forth. There is no guarantee that they will return if the heavy equipment is used in the basins. Therefore, we recommend and reinforce that no heavy equipment be used for any reason in the Basin 1 and 3 for the contract to remove invasive species. This contract states no heavy equipment will be used in the basin, but we need to reinforce the board's position on this very important contract. I need a vote?
So you're making a motion or what?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for a vote on this, please.
The motion is what?
The motion is the last one I read. Therefore, recommend reinforce that no heavy equipment be used in any reason in the Basin 1 and 3 for the contract to remove invasive species. This contract states no heavy equipment will be used in the basin, but we also need to reinforce the board's position on this very important issue.
Is there a second? Second. I have a question.
Yeah.
First, we need a second. Slow down. Seconded, okay. On the question.
Show my ignorance. What is the invasive species you're trying to get rid of?
There's
What
maybe
you would never consider.
there's maybe 10 or 15 of them in these basins.
Like?
Sugum, black
that kind. Oh.
Black locust.
Oh, really? Oh, alive. They're alive.
There's tons of them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Black locust.
No, the tall grass, what do you call?
Oh, those are Phragmites.
Phragmites.
Well, no, they're only in Basin 2. Phragmites are in Basin 2. There's not that many Phragmites in 1 and 2.
Okay.
The other invasive species are trees-like, okay?
Okay.
Okay?
So the motion is that we reiterate what we had previously, and it's over here, Laurie, you could copy from his report when he gives it to you. Call the roll, please. Four.
Tony Benanti. Walter Clayton. Patricia Crowley. Brian Dooley. Jerry Drake. Dimitro Fikowski. Steve Fiedler. Fred Haller. Fred Hofferly. Rich Huber. Ed Latau. John Meyer. Kathy Massey. Eileen Maloney. Peggy O'Kane. Michael O'Kane. Don Passantino. Mike Pacelli. Ken Redberger. Ted Renz. Luis Rodriguez. Lee Rottenberg. Carmen Santana. Did you see her leave? Dennis Steffen. Kathy Gainal Thapa. Patrick Trincasi. Michaeline Von Drathen. Crystal Wolf. Mariana Zero. And Nan Zhang. Okay.
We just have a few more items. The Juniper Valley Track and Turf is going to start the last week in February, the first week in March. That's doing the turf over, the track over, and $300,000 worth of equipment on the north side of the back of the track, Juniper Valley North. Upcoming construction on Myrtle Avenue. The only situation we have with that, we voted for the money, and the money was put in by Mr. Holden and the borough president to meet the bid, but we still have some problems with safety and where the cars drive, where the pedestrians walk. There's no buffer there, just a little curb, so they're going to be talking about that. Rosemary's Playground is open. I went there yesterday. Very nice looking park. Let's see how it goes, but if you want to get an idea of how they're building parks, take a look. Very nice. Kiddie section, other section, looks very nice. Yeah, your planting's over too. Star Playground, the Parks Department wants to come to the committee between the 17th and 28th and give us the presentation on Phase 1. The $1.2 million or $1.3 million that's left for the Ridgewood Reservoir, we're going to try to have them contract to do the path between 1 and 2. That way all the paths will be done around 1, 2, and 3. There seems to be another drainage problem down at Frank Principe Park in that corner. The park is aware of it. All agencies are aware of it, and it's being addressed. We will keep on that. We don't want that flooding again. I'm finished, thank you.
Wait, question?
No.
Question. Yes, quick. How long will the Juniper Park turf take?
10 months, 10-month contract.
Oh, great.
Okay? And everything should be done.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody doing the public safety report? You got that mic over there, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'll try and be as brief as possible. Public Safety Committee met on Wednesday, January 22nd at the Community Board office. Meeting came to order at 7:35 p.m. Only Police Officer Sanad was present from the 104. Just take note that the captain was invited and has not been to a meeting yet since I've been on the committee. We went over how many police officers are in the precinct. There are 198 uniformed officers, comprised of 2 captains, 6 lieutenants, 18 sergeants, 3 detectives. The breakdown is 169 police officers, 137 are male, 32 are females. You heard the police go over the crime stats. Obviously not looking good. They had more up to date what was went over at the meeting. Murder was the same, rape was the same, robbery was up by 6, felony assault up by 8, burglary up by 8, grand larceny down by 5, and grand larceny auto down by 1. The topic of the NCO program was brought up, and their response, both Mike Lindau and myself had said that we're not getting responses from the NCOs in our sectors via text or emails or phone calls. Mary Ann stated that the NCOs in Maspeth are very responsive, and we had no information on the Ridgewood NCOs. Police Officer Sanad suggested that the Sergeant Ryman, the NCO supervisor, attend the next public safety meeting to address the concerns. Also, the NCO's build-the-block meetings are not getting out to the public. They need to find a way to be more effective. This will be discussed at the next public safety meeting with Sergeant Ryman. Topic of abandoned cars left for extended times in the street in the 104th was discussed. Police Officer Sanad stated that there are 2 companies that are doing roto within the 104th precinct. She stated if a car is not towed, it can be booted. My experience is I have cars around the neighborhood for over 3 months without plates, out-of-state plates, and we're getting no response from the 104th precinct. So that was brought up, and I'm still waiting on answers from the captain. Let's see. Richie Hubert stated that according to Councilman Holden, there are numerous towing companies that were associated with the MS-13 gang. The topic of policing with the proposed homeless shelter at 7816 was discussed. Police Officer Sanad stated that there would be patrols in the area of the proposed homeless shelter. The question was asked how many patrol cars are usually operating on each shift. Police Officer Sanad stated that the number of officers on each patrol varies and patrols decrease after any arrest is made within the precinct. Just doing quick math, on average, there's usually not more than 4 patrols in the 104th precinct. So keep that in mind. Mary Ann Latanzio stated that the 104th GCOP was willing to do more day patrols around the shelter site, especially during school dismissal times. And the Liberty Park area in Glendale, I'm sorry, I'm reading. Police Officer Sanad stated that in the past month in the Liberty Park area of Glendale, the 104th Precinct officers wrote out 60 parking summonses and 38 moving violations. It was also brought up the concern of mandating the use of bicycle helmets, and the concern about the new bail reform was addressed, and Police Officer Sanad stated that since the bail reform just went into effect in January 2020, it is too soon to tell if there has been a crime increase since bail reform. Also went over the topic of double and triple parking cars, especially around schools. The 104th Precinct said they would try and address it. They understand it's a growing concern and possesses danger to children who are crossing the street. That's it. Any questions?
Question?
Hi, I apologize that I wasn't able to make the Public Safety Committee. I'm on the Public Safety Committee also. In our emails, if anybody didn't see, the legislation that's going to come up about legalizing sex work, I also think that that would fall under public safety. And if it goes that route, I would think like other countries, maybe there should be areas of the city, I don't know which communities, where there should be maybe red light districting, a lot of health mandates.
Glendale's good.
So I reached out to Barnwell on that, and he said that's been in committee since last session, and it hasn't moved. So that's all I know about it. I heard about it today, just as you did.
Next question.
Not in charge of the. Talking about the abandoned vehicles, I ran into this problem in my neighborhood where there are a lot of abandoned vehicles, and they said, well, can't you tow them, the tow company, whatever, can't the police? And they said, no, the sanitation has to put some kind of a sticker on there. There's a conflict between sanitation and police and tow companies. Did you guys talk about?
Generally speaking, if a vehicle has no plates on it, sanitation then takes it. If a vehicle has plates on it, then it has to go to road tow. The problem is in the 104th Precinct, there's only two, according to the precinct, there's only two companies that will do road tows, and they are at capacity. So unless there's capacity at their yard, we're at their mercy for when they will do it. We asked what could be done to get more companies on this rotating list, and we didn't get any real answers.
I don't know about sanitation removing it. I've never seen that.
I personally have sanitation remove cars as long as they're not plated.
That's what it is. If they have no plates, it's sanitation. The question is, citywide, they're supposedly going to close down the big lot on the pier in Manhattan, where most of the vehicles are taken by the towed by the police department. So, if there's no place to tow them, we're not going to get them towed. So,
because the merchants in my neighborhood are complaining that they can't park.
I think you need to talk to the elected officials that are approving all these stupid measures. Yes, Peggy.
May I? My neighbor had documented proof that a car was parked on Traffic Avenue for over a year because she would Google street and from the year previous, and it was in the exact same position. We've been working with Holden's office. They did get a thing or two. They got the travel trailer moved. The back end loader or front end loader or whatever it is, it's still sitting there. But we got the same, Danny got the same reply. There's not enough tow truck companies and there's not enough place to put the cars.
Yep. Yes, Walter.
Yes, when you were reporting that this crime is up 5 and this crime is up 4, can you give us the total?
Oh, yeah, sure. Sure. I just didn't know if you wanted to go into the specifics of it. Sure. Let me just find it. Too many papers here. All right, so in 2020, so for the 28-day period, which is from the meeting of January 22nd, it's actually less than 28 days, there was 0 murders, 1 rape, 18 robberies, 21 felony assaults, 17 burglaries, 45 grand larcenies, and 5 GLAs.
Quiet.
Okay, no, I didn't go over it because the police gave a more up-to-date, but we have it.
Thank you.
No problem.
Next committee, Transportation and Public Transit, John.
Okay, thank you, Don. We met on Tuesday, January 28th in the board office. Much of our early discussion was transportation, public transit related, I'm sorry. The L train is still on target to end early. We're looking at monthly closures on the L that might affect people that live directly on the L for access between Broadway Junction and Lorimer, but that is for one more weekend, which is I think the weekend coming up, and one more weekend in March. And then in April, we should be seeing the end of the service on the L train being slowed during the weekends and overnights, but that also means in April we're going to see the extended service on the M diminish as well. So that's not, for me personally, that's not a happy moment, because the M train has been really a wonderful thing these last almost a year now. We're also very much concerned about the M train structure not being painted in the period of time that it was supposed to be painted. We were told last year that they would hopefully get to the northern end, just at the part of the system that ends after the Fresh Pond Road Station, where it becomes a grade level, would be painted all the way down towards Seneca, and that they would be moving down by the end of the summer, fall time into Brooklyn. And at this point, there's been so much structural steel work that the painting has really only happened under the Forest Avenue station. You see a lot of work currently at the road level where they're actually shoring up the stanchions to keep the structure up in the air under the Seneca Avenue station at this time. We'll keep you updated on that when we know more. The other big topic of conversation was, of course, the bus redesign. We had a session here. We had the first public session here in Ridgewood, hosted by the Greater Ridgewood Youth Council at the end of January. We're going to have our next meeting in this space here at the last Tuesday of February, and it's going to start at 6:30, and it will involve the bus redesign people from the MTA presenting and getting our feedback. So please bring people out. We expect, and that's why we got this space, is that we could have a larger space to work with them and hopefully do maybe some tables where they can do a little bit more planning work and kind of communication with people on a more intimate basis. And hopefully we'll get in the rest of our committee work as well. But next month might be, for the committee members, a slightly longer meeting if we do get to our usual street safety improvements. The other thing was we just reviewed the normal capital projects. Our biggest advocate in the city, I would say, and possibly in the state for the Myrtle Avenue, not Myrtle Avenue, the Wyckoff Avenue improvements from the Brooklyn border all the way to our border at the eastern end, is Vincent Arcuri, our chair, who is always keeping this alive. We've seen two different sets of plans. We are not seeing anybody at the state or federal level really taking this as an initiative to get it moving, though that is a corridor that's had a lot of growth and change over the last 20 years. We'd like to really see it addressed, as that street is deteriorating at the same time. We are seeing some movement on the Grand Street Bridge. They are doing surveying. We haven't had as many closures on that recently for emergency work, but it is underway for the planning. Hopefully we will see some future plans come to the office in a better timeline for when it will be replaced, and hopefully it will be replaced with something a little bit more substantial to allow the traffic that's really needed to serve those communities, and the bus depot and the transit that's happening over there with trucking and everything in the Maspeth district. The last thing I'd like to say is, if you have recommendations for roadway resurfacing, please write them into the board, get them in, because we want to compile a list in a timely fashion to get that to DOT so we can get on the calendar for the year. Like I said, the next meeting, 6:30, Christ the King Cafeteria on Tuesday, February 25th, I believe.
25.
Yep. Any questions?
And I'd like to, I'm sorry. I'd like to ask Councilmember Reynoso to give us an update report at the next meeting on Wyckoff Avenue reconstruction, because as John said, we can't get any answers. And it's 7 or 8 years now? It's 8. This is 20. 8 years since that project was first proposed. And the only people that spoke about it and pushed for it was Community Board 5 Queens. And we're very disappointed. I personally am very disappointed in our elected officials in not pushing this interborough project, because it runs from Flushing Avenue to Cooper Avenue, the full length of Wyckoff. And I don't know if you ever drive Wyckoff Avenue, but from Myrtle Avenue to Cooper, you need a tank to maneuver through the holes in the road. So that's my request. Did I miss any committees? Any other committees to report? Okay. Then a motion to adjourn? Walter and whoever was... yes. Oh, yes, Tony, thanks for feeding us.
Thank you.